You know, guys, people have been complaining that the second half of the season of Pretty Little Liars has been really pointless, or nothing's been going on, or they haven't been watching the show since the whole Charlotte situation. I've tried to defend it. I've really been enjoying it. But after this episode, I can kind of see why, honestly. Hey guys, carrying on for the view for the season finale of Pretty Little Liars, Season 6, Episode 20, Hush Hush Sweet Little Liars. And I was really looking forward to this episode. I mean, this episode I was really looking forward to it. I mean, I thought that we were going to find out who the Stalker was, and knowing that someone could have possibly gotten killed. I mean, I really didn't know what was going to happen in this episode. The stakes were so high that literally anything could happen, and I was really looking forward to it. That being said, though, not a good finale. Not a good finale at all, really. This finale really disappointed me. There were some things I liked, but for the most part, this was a really bad finale, and I'm really surprised, guys. Like, I usually try to defend Pretty Little Liars. I've tried to say, no, I like how this is going. But there were too many things this episode that pissed me off, I gotta say. There were so many things that I was so upset about that the show did, and there are things I was applauding the show for, and then they just abandoned in this episode, and I was very upset about it. There is an aspect to this episode I like, but even that ended really weirdly. But let's just get in this episode, because I really do want to talk about it. The episode started off really good, I'll definitely say that. Like, the way it started off, I'm like, alright, this is going to be awesome. Because we start off right where we left off last week. We see Hanna just texted the Stalker, told them to leave her friends alone, that she killed Charlotte. Obviously, of course, we know she's lying, but, they're trying to stick with the plan. And Hanna gets a text message back from the Stalker, who they're pretty sure is Sarah Harvey at this point, that, that she took the bait, and she warns Hanna that if she is lying, she will shoot all of her friends and not to involve the police. And then they set up a meeting place and time, and then they reiterate that they have till election night, and really crazy stuff, really great start of the episode, and I really enjoyed that. Alright, we're off to a great start. So at Allie's house, we see her and Rollins. He's waiting on her hand and foot as she recovers from her fall down the stairs, because as we know, she fell down the stairs. And Rollins says that he talked to her brother Jason. He has been hard at work at Karasimi and making sure all the money they raise is being used to tell people, which is interesting. Jason, we find out, has joined the Karasimi group in this episode, which I found very interesting. So, we see that Rollins wants to stay with Allie, and hang on one second, guys. Alright, Rollins wants to stay with Allie, but she tells him that she will be fine and orders him to go to the airport before he misses her plane to Chicago, and basically that's what happens with that. So Spencer meets up with Toby to go over the blueprints at the Radleys. Sarah just checked back in, and Spencer wants to find whatever it is that Sarah's looking for first. They're plotting and flirting a little, and here comes the part of this episode that really pissed me off. You guys know how there have been different couples together in every, different pairings, and people haven't enjoyed it. Like, I've heard so many people complain about Spaleb, I've heard people complain about Arya and Liam, and I've heard people complain about Hanna and Jordan. Hanna and Jordan I can kind of see, okay? I'll definitely say that. Jordan is a good guy, but he is kind of plain. I definitely will say that. But Liam I've always liked with Arya. I think he's fine. I have nothing wrong with him. And then Spencer and Caleb I think have been great. I've really loved them as a couple. This episode, for me, I thought the show was going to be like, you know what, fuck it, this is what we wanted to do, and if you guys don't like it, then fine. That's what good shows do. That's why I love shows like The Leftovers. They don't care what you think about their show. They're just trying to make quality entertainment. This was literally fan service. I'd say a good 85% of this episode was fan service from things that people wanted, and it really pissed me off. Because right away we see that they're flirting, and I thought that these two were over each other. I really did. I thought that they were over each other. I thought that Toby had moved on with Yvonne, and Toby plans to get Sarah locked out of her room on accident so that Spencer can sneak inside, and that part I'm fine with. What I'm not fine with is what happens later in this episode, which I'll get into. So meanwhile, Emily and Caleb are working together and preparing to build an electric fence. Whatever their plan is to capture the new A, it's going to be huge. And we don't really know what their plan is, which is something I like. We didn't really know what their plan was here. We just know that they're starting to figure things out. There's a lot that's going on. It involves an electric fence, it involves hacking into things, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be this crazy plan. So despite all of this drama, Ari managed to find time to go to Ezra so they can work on their new book. Ezra gets emotional while he's writing the last chapter, and Ari catches him crying. Ezra breaks down. He can't believe that Nicole is really gone, and Arya comforts him, tells him that their book is a really beautiful love story for Nicole, and it's a really nice scene. I like the way that this scene played out. I thought it was very sweet, but why did he just randomly break down? I understand that obviously this book was very hard for him to write, but he's had his time to grieve. I feel like he's not over Nicole, but it didn't seem like he was still harping on this. Like, all we've gone with Ezra is him harping on Nicole, harping on her over and over again. And you guys know last week we had that flashback that I really didn't think did much of anything, but this was stupid, him harping on her over and over. I really was not a fan of that, honestly. I really didn't like the way that was done, and especially where this goes, I was very pissed off. You guys will see what I'm talking about, though. So then we get what I think was the best aspect of this episode, but then turns out to be the weirdest aspect of this episode. Allie's dozing off on her couch and watching TV, but she hears music playing and gets up to investigate. Very creepy music, may I add. And she opens the music. Someone opened the music box in her room. She hears floorboards creaking and spins around, and then she sees Jessica just standing there. Again, remember, she saw the vision of Jessica before. She didn't know if it was a vision, but we were to assume that. But now she's seeing her again, and she's covered in dirt, and Allie rubs her eyes, looks again, her mother's gone. So she's thinking, alright, it's just a vision, I'm, tripping, and she thinks that's all in her head. But then Ellie returns to the living room, and the phone rings, and it's Jessica on the other end of the line. She creepily asks, did you miss me, like in Scream or whatever, and Allie gasps, hangs up the phone. I'm like, is this Scream or some shit? Like, this literally felt like a horror movie. It was really weird, and we have no idea what's going on. Obviously, could Jessica possibly be back? I mean, if they would have done the twist of Jessica being back from the dead, I would have stopped watching the show, because that's really dumb when you convince me seasons and seasons this character is dead and then all of a sudden they're not. So I'm very happy the show didn't do that, but what happens here is very weird. We will definitely get into that because I know you guys want me to talk about it, but it's very strange. So there Emily comes over, she and Allie talk about her dream. Emily had similar experiences after her father died, and I like the way they bonded out over this, because this obviously was very hard for Allie. She doesn't really know what's going on, but I like that Emily's telling her, look, you're just upset that they died or whatever. But when Emily saw her dad, it was a good dream. He wasn't evil. And it seems like Allie's, they're haunting her. These are not them comforting her. I mean, there was that scene last week of Jessica saying, you can now get over my death and everything, but they're torturing her here, and Emily tells Allie that it's all in her head. It must be a side effect from the painkillers that she's on, and that's what they pretty much think is going on, which is interesting, definitely. So we see Veronica's campaign head center is going crazy. The polls are opening and they are down to the wire. Spencer's shocked when Mona shows up and volunteers to help, and she insists that she wants Veronica to win and wants to help. And Spencer reluctantly lets Mona man the phones, which was very weird. All of a sudden, Mona wants to help them, which I definitely found strange. I mean, obviously she was doing Yvonne's campaign, but now apparently she's not. She's working with them, and nothing really with Mona here. And I was very disappointed. I was like, all right, maybe we're finally going to get some insight as to what's going on with Mona, because we know that she was acting very shady last week with the whole limo situation and how she was in Charlotte's limo. Nothing about that in this episode. Nothing about that at all, and I was honestly kind of disappointed. I'm like, you had the perfect opportunity to do more with Mona, and all she does in this episode is just be in the campaign. That's really all she did here. So meanwhile, Toby breaks the news to Yvonne that he can't make it to her mom's campaign party because he has to help a friend. Yvonne knows that he's talking about Spencer, and she's not happy, and this was dumb. It was dumb. I mean, they were fine, honestly. Yvonne was not jealous of Spencer. They seemed to be friends. Like, it didn't seem like she was upset or anything. So this really came out of nowhere for me. I mean, yeah, they've had problems here and there, but it didn't seem like Yvonne was ever suspicious of, Toby and Spencer. Like, she might have had an inkling that they still want to be together, but that's not at all the reason why Toby's doing this. He's doing this to help out Spencer, and I really thought Yvonne acted very immaturely. She said, I want to date someone who's going to stay committed to me, da-da-da. It felt very out of character for Yvonne. Yvonne hasn't been a bitch. She's actually been a very supportive girlfriend, and this really just seemed like it was a plot device for them to break up Toby and Yvonne, because this episode, it's all about breaking up all the couples they've created in these 5 years, because nobody likes them, apparently, which was stupid. I didn't like that they did that. When you have a plot, you gotta stick with it. You can't just abandon it for no reason. That's exactly what they did in this episode, and it's lazy writing. It really is. There's nothing else to call it. It's lazy writing, and that really pissed me off. And it's not the one that pissed me off the most. We'll get to that. Out in the woods, Hanna and Caleb are setting up the electric fence, and Cameron's at the place where she's supposed to meet the new big bad A, and even if they don't trap A with the fence, they will at least be able to get a photo of her and know who they're dealing with, because obviously, and that's a very smart plan, because, you know, they'll have a camera there, and, you know, they don't know if they're going to trap her, if they'll climb up the fence, because obviously, we know the person that is the stalker is very calculated, and they really know what they're doing, like, they're very smart with that kind of thing, but they do know they'll at least be able to get a photo, and that will determine who that could be, which is very smart. I mean, we're really talking, like, surveillance shit here. Like, they did a very good job with playing all that out. So at Ellie's house, she's sleeping, and Arya's helping Emily babysit. Arya brought along her and Ezra's book, and basically, we see Emily thinks it's amazing. They hear a scream upstairs, rush to find Allie, and she's hiding in the corner and freaking out. And Allie cries she woke up and saw Wilden in her bed. All of a sudden, just randomly saw Wilden with her. And obviously, this is very strange. We haven't heard about Detective Wilden in 2 seasons, so that's really weird this got brought up again. And he touched her hand, and Allie felt it, and Emily heads downstairs to call Rollins because something is definitely not right with Allie. They know that something's not right there. They don't know what it is, but something is definitely not right. And the next morning, Emily leaves Allie alone for a little while so that she can go vote, and Allie's still seeing visions of her dead mother and dead Wilden. She screams them that they aren't real and to leave her alone, and she at this point is just, she has no idea what's going on, and I don't blame Allie. I mean, I can totally understand what's going on here. She's seeing all these visions, she thinks she's going crazy, she don't know if it's the painkillers, but for whatever reason, they're just not going away, and everything that Emily said, she's trying, but they're still not going away, so there's clearly something more going on than what Emily said to her, which is very interesting. And for me, the most interesting aspect of this episode was seeing Allie struggle with what seemed to be a bunch of hallucinations, which I thought was very interesting. So then we get to the part of this episode that I really dislike. Look, I was enjoying this finale. I was. There was that one scene with Yvonne, and I'm like, alright, I can deal with that. That's perfectly fine. That's stupid, whatever. But then this happened, and I'm just like, no, why? No, this was unnecessary. They didn't need to do this, and I hated this. I really did not like this, I have to say. Like, this part really pissed me off, and if anything, this was the thing that made me most upset about this finale. Because this finale should have been focused on finding out who the stalker is and who the stalker is. That's really what it should have been focused on. Who's stalking them, things like that. And I feel like that was supposed to be the main focus. The problem is that 85% of this episode is devoted to getting couples back together so we can make fans happy, and that's exactly what the scene was. Arya heads over to Ezra's. He's got great news. He just got off the phone with Julian, and she loved their book, and she's pushing up the release, she's pushing up the release date, and she never says she loved a book. She says she likes a book, but she never says she loved it, and she's pushing up the release date. They're even getting a book tour, and Arya's so excited, just in the moment that she kisses Ezra. That I could deal with. If it was just her kissing Ezra, I would have been completely fine with that. Alright, fine, now she has to deal with the feelings she still has for Ezra, and then she has to deal with Liam. That's a very interesting situation for a character to go into, because we've thought that she doesn't like Ezra anymore and that she doesn't think of him that way. And maybe he thinks of her that way, but she doesn't really see him that way. But, Liam's kind of had doubts about it. That's the way to do it. What they didn't need to do was have a complete sex scene with these two where they're ripping off each other's clothes, hooking up, and Arya completely forgets the fact that, oh, I have a boyfriend and he's concerned about me and I probably shouldn't be having sex with someone who used to be my ex. So this was completely unnecessary. The only reason they did this is, for one, so they could hashtag Ezra on Freeform, which I cannot stand when shows do that, honestly. I can't tell you how much that drives me insane. Look, I understand you want to get things trending on Twitter, but you shouldn't base your show off of tweets. It's really dumb, and I don't like it. Please, shows, stop doing that. It's annoying. I watch a show for entertainment. I don't watch a show to tweet about it, okay? That distracts me, and just that I don't do that sort of thing. If you guys do, fine, that's you, but me, it just really annoys me when they do that, because this seemed like they only did that so they get Ezra trending on Twitter, and so all the Ezra fans are like, oh, finally, Ezra and Arya are back together, and we don't have to worry about Liam anymore. But the thing is, they don't even mention Liam in this episode. Like, Arya never says, oh yeah, what about my boyfriend? Like, she never thinks about that, and it's really dumb, very unnecessary, and for me, just a complete it's a complete fan service. That's all it was. Marlene King only did this to make the fans happy, and it really pisses me off. I mean, I liked that she had Ari and Ezra go through this conflict. She should have kissed him, not had sex, okay? Kiss him, but don't have sex. Why they had sex, I have no idea. That made no sense to me. Why would you just randomly have sex? I mean, if they kissed before, or maybe they were connecting or something like that, and then they just in the moment had sex, that would have been fine. There's literally been no build up to this. Okay, it's been them being friends and talking. And sure, like I said, Liam's had doubts about them being together. But you don't just go from being friends to, oh, we're gonna have sex now. Like, that just, no, that's not how you do it. You gotta start small and then get bigger, and kissing him, that's fine. The sex part, I didn't think that was necessary. I like the sex scene between Spencer and Caleb, I'll say that, but that's because I actually really like those two together. And it was actually a very sweet scene. I like the way that scene was done. I have no problem with that because those two are together. They're supposed to be together. I have no problem with that. These two just randomly hooked up for no reason, and I have no idea why they did it. It just felt so weird. But other than that, let's get to the rest of this episode. Emily heads back to Allie's house after she's done voting. Allie's gone, and Allie's phone is ringing, and it's Rollins. Emily picks up, tells him that she has no idea where Allie's gone, and, you know, Allie's now fled. Which I'm not surprised by. I mean, she was obviously going nuts with these visions, and where she is, we don't know. So it's getting late. The polls will be closing soon. The voters will be talked, and Melissa has been blowing up Spencer's phone all day to see how their mother did. Veronica thanks Spencer and her dad for all the sacrifice that their family made for her campaign, and Spencer gets a frantic phone call from Emily, and she still can't find Allie. She has no idea where she is, and Spencer tells Emily that she's on her own. The plan's already in motion, and Spencer and Toby are about to break into Sarah's room. Hanna, Caleb, Ari, and Ezra are at the Lost Woods waiting for A, and I like the way they plan this out. It seems to be according to plan. The only thing is that Allie's now MIA, and they have that to deal with. That's something I really like about this episode. Everyone was really doing something that contributed to the plot. You know, Hanna, Caleb, Ari, and Ezra, they were watching the surveillance footage while Spencer and Toby were breaking into Sarah's room. And then Emily would have helped, but she had to look for Allie, and she had to be the one to help her out because obviously if something weird was going on with Allie, and she needed to know what that was. So, very interesting. I like the way that was done, and I thought they did that really well. Then we get another scene that I really didn't like. We see Hanna and Caleb are alone in the hotel room. This is even more random. I have no idea where this came from, honestly. No idea whatsoever. These two have had interaction. They have. Hanna and Caleb have had interaction, but this just felt so random. At least Ari and Ezra, throughout this entire season, have had scenes together. That's fine. But Hanna and Caleb haven't had enough scene scare for me to believe this at all. They're alone in the hotel room at the Lost Woods. They have a heart-to-heart, and Hanna recalls their breakup. She reveals that she came back for him the night that they broke up, but Caleb was already gone, and she cries that things weren't supposed to be like this and confesses that she's still in love with him, which I understand, kind of. You remember there was that scene where Jordan didn't know how to make her feel better, but Caleb did. But that was because Caleb knew her circumstance. That's what I saw it as. And you guys have to remember, Hanna approved Spencer and Caleb to date. She literally said, look, you two can date. I don't care what you do. I'm with Jordan. I'm fine. She literally said that. There was no indication that Hanna still had feelings for Caleb. There was none of that there. Spencer even asked her, do you still have feelings? And Hanna said she didn't. I mean, we could tell she really was over him. But Caleb then leans in, kisses her. They jump apart when Ezra and Arya walk in, and this was just dumb. Please, no, I don't want these two back together. I really don't. Now, do I think that Hanna and Jordan are getting married? No, I've said it before. Hanna and Jordan are definitely not getting married. Especially after this, they're not getting married. Because if Hannah's in love with Caleb, then they're definitely not getting married. She's going to call off the wedding. That's going to happen. Jordan is just not the guy for Hanna, I'll say that. But Caleb, I'm fine with him and Spencer. There's literally nothing wrong with that. I don't know why. To me, it just seemed like, oh, Spaleb's disgusting. We got to get Caleb back. And we got to get Caleb trending on Twitter. And that's why they did that. And really dumb, really. And I know I'm harping on this and talking so much, you know, just continually going on and on about it, but it really pissed me off. I thought it was really dumb the way they did that, and it was really lazy writing. It really took away from what you're supposed to be focused on. This episode should have been completely focused on just two things: the election and then finding the stalker. That's what the entire episode should have been. None of this relationship drama. Cut that out, and I would have been fine with this episode. Well, except for the reveal, because I'll get into that. So Toby and Spencer are in the basement of the Radley. They think that they may have found a secret room that Charlotte used when she was staying there, and whatever's in the secret room is what Sarah has been looking for. Toby's been brought along, his tools, so they can get into the secret room because the door's been sealed shut, and Emily finds Allie hiding in the church and having a meltdown. And this was very interesting. She cries that she's being punished for all the bad things that she did in her life, and she thinks that because her mom and, that Emily tries to convince her that it is just the medication talking, and her mom and Will are not back from the dead, and that it has nothing, that Allie is just talking crazy right now. I mean, Allie clearly is just going insane. So we see Mona. She finds Toby and Spencer in the basement. She tags along with them as they head into the secret room. All that is there is a dusty old file from 20 years ago, and the patient's name is Mary Drake, and it turns out that Mary Drake was Charles' real mother, and the De Laurentiis family adopted him and lied and said that he and Jason were twins. Now, this is interesting, definitely, that this randomly came up. Mary Drake, we've never heard of this character before. They just should have introduced her a couple episodes ago. I definitely will say it. Introduced her a couple episodes ago, I would have been like, okay, this makes sense. But just all of a sudden, Mary Drake feels like a cop-out. It really does. It feels like they just needed an answer, so they gave us a quick answer that sounded like it made sense, but really, when you think about it, it doesn't make as much sense as they wanted to. So I was kind of disappointed with that. Not as disappointed as the relationship stuff, but that was the thing that really pissed me off. But this was still kind of I don't know. So, at the Lost Woods, Hanna's sitting in the hotel room all alone, waiting for A to arrive. Ezra, Arya, and Caleb are hiding in the woods and waiting. They're here, their trap going off, and they rush to the fence, but no one is there. Somehow, A got right through the electric fencing cameras. How? I have no idea. They don't explain it. It just happened. They run back to the hotel room, and Hanna's vanished, and for whatever, somehow they just took Hanna. This is what I understand. How did they just get Hanna? I mean, Hanna was sitting there all alone, waiting for them to arrive. I understand that, but, why would they just take her? I mean, that doesn't, I understand, they obviously didn't believe her and things like that, but just taking her like that, no, that was stupid. Again, it just felt like just adding drama. So Allie decides to check herself in the mental hospital. Emily tags along, tries to convince her to wait for Rollins to get home, and Emily's scared that once Allie checks herself in, the doctors won't let her out, and Allie won't listen. The doctors help Charlotte get better, and Allie thinks they're going to help her get better too, and this is the best thing for her, which I kind of do see her point. I mean, she thinks that she's going crazy. She thinks that she's having a psychological breakdown, and that she needs help with that, and maybe Radley can help her. So, well, it's not Radley, because Radley's not a mental hospital anymore, but, she thinks this mental hospital can help her. So back in Rosewood, everyone's celebrating. Veronica has won the senator election, which I'm not all surprised about. This was very predictable, I gotta say. That was my thing. There was no suspense, really, with this election. I wasn't like, oh, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I knew Veronica was gonna win. Very predictable with that. Spencer and Toby sneak back upstairs to celebrate with everyone. Spencer gets a frantic call from Arya and learns that Hannah's missing. Spencer and Toby rush to the Lost Woods. They find Caleb and Arya in the hotel room, freaking out. Apparently, A has tunneled underground and came up through the floor, grabbed Hanna, and disappeared. They watch the videos from the woods. They see one person running frantically through the woods on cameras, and everyone's shocked that it looks like Jessica. It literally looks like Jessica is running right through the woods. So everyone's thinking, Arya's thinking, can that even be possible? Can it be possible she faked her death? I mean, obviously, they have no idea what's going on here. What's going on is very weird. We see back at Allie's house, Wilden's walking around, and apparently Allie wasn't seeing things. Wilden takes off his mask, and it's not Wilden at all. It's actually Allie's husband, Rollins. Yes, Elliot has been posing as Wilden, and then we see Mrs. De Laurentiis is there too, only it's not Jessica. It's her twin sister, Mary Drake, and Elliot is her son. What? I honestly, I don't know what to say about this. This made no sense to me, because here's the thing. How the fuck did they get masks that look like Wilden, and then a mask that looked like Jessica, that looked like Jessica? This was so weird. I have no idea how this makes any sense. I mean, these are two characters that I didn't suspect any of this. Why do you have to get Rollins involved? That doesn't make any sense to me. We see that Elliot and Mary have been plotting to get back their half of the Karasimi group from the De Laurentiis family. Elliot even went as far as to marry his cousin, and now that Allie's in the mental hospital, Elliot has full control, has control of her half of the company, and that's the only reason he married her, which is really dumb, I gotta say. I mean, you introduce this guy for Allie, and I understand understand that Allie and Rollins have no chemistry, but again, it just seemed like they did that just to get people to be like, oh, Allie and Rollins aren't together? Fine, great, they're not together anymore, and now we know why they can't be together. Again, it just seemed like a cop-out to me, and I was really pissed off. Like I said, 90% of this episode seemed like it was devoted to breaking up couples that people didn't like because they didn't think it was working, and because of fan service, they broke them up and found a way to do that, which was really dumb in my opinion. So, I did like the way the episode ended, though. We see A's dragging Hanna across the ground. She appears to be unconscious and is clutching a bouquet of flowers. A texts Ari, the other liars, and says, "Thank you for giving me Hanna. You're free to go now. AD is what it says." But AD is Alison DeLaurentis. So what I'm thinking is that the Stalker is framing Allie, making them think that Allie's going to be the one texting them, because who else is AD? Alison DeLaurentis. That's her initials. That's what I'm thinking, that they're framing Allie, and that they're going to make it seem like it is Allie, when obviously it's not Allie, but they're making it seem like it's Allie, and that, I think, is very interesting if they do that. Are the liars going to trust her? I mean, they still, I don't think, have ever fully trust her. Even though they're on a, they kind of trust her now, they still, I think, are on this path where they don't really know. She's always going to be kind of shady in their mind, which is very interesting. So, there's that coming up. But other than that, guys, like I said, not a fan of this finale, really. I thought this finale was very rushed. I thought there was way too much time devoted to things that really, in hindsight, did not matter for this episode. We have one more season left. We could have had the whole Ari and Ezra thing in another episode. We could have just developed it more. You could have broken these couples up. You could have done that, but you didn't have to do it all in one episode. And I know Liam and Arya aren't broken up yet, and Hanna and Jordan never called off their marriage, but that's where we're headed now. I mean, Hanna kissed Caleb. Arya and Ezra had sex, and I still can't get over the fact they had sex for no reason whatsoever, except that Marlene King wanted to please fans. That's why they did it, and they wanted sex scenes, because apparently we didn't have enough of them, which is really stupid in my opinion. I really don't understand this Karasimi thing. Maybe you guys can explain it to me more, but for me, this doesn't make any sense. We've had so many twists that make so much sense, and I was even fine with the Charlotte reveal, because that actually made sense to me. This really just, it came out of nowhere. It makes no sense. I have no idea we're back to the Karasimi group, and I'm not a fan of it. I really am not a fan of it, because now we know that supposedly the stalker that's been stalking them is someone we haven't even met, and that was my fear, that it was going to be someone we haven't met, and I don't care. I mean, it's someone we never met. Why should I care that this person has been stalking them? We don't know their character. And yeah, we have a whole other season to do that, but they should have introduced another character. It should have been someone familiar. Like, maybe have it be that Wilden faked his death or something like that. That would have actually been interesting. Jessica faking her death, okay, that'd be really stupid. But Wilden faking his death, that could have been interesting. They could have done something with that. I don't really know. Just the direction they took this in did not work for me at all, and I really was not a fan of it. I also thought the election was really half-assed. Like, they really didn't focus on it the way they should have, and I really didn't feel like the stakes were that high. I wasn't worried about it. I didn't really care about the election in this episode. I cared about what was going on with the surveillance footage, because I thought that was very interesting. But the twist overall, I just don't know how to feel about it. And of course, I'm going to watch Season 7 because the last season, and I can't see myself not finishing the show that I've stuck with for years. I just can't see myself not doing that. But I really think they need to focus less on twists and focus more on stuff that actually makes sense. Because this seemed like they just wanted to throw a twist in. And it really complicated things. That's the thing. And it's not like this twist is something simple. It's a very complicated twist that there's going to be a lot of stuff to explain. And maybe in a couple episodes, like next season, I'll be like, alright, this makes sense, I like it. But right now, I'm very confused and I don't really understand. So I don't have much to say to you guys about this twist, because right now, I'm still trying to figure out if I like it or not. I really don't know. But the relationship stuff, oh my god, I hated it. I hated the relationship stuff in this episode. I don't want to see it again. I mean, Ezra and Ari apparently are back together now. Ari's completely forgotten about Liam. It's stupid. I'm not a fan of it. What's gonna happen with Allie? I mean, Allie, I think, is gonna go crazy, and now we know who he is. He is clearly gonna be Elliot. That's who's gonna come after Allie. She's gonna find out at some point. That's definitely gonna be interesting to see what's going on there. I kind of feel like they're trying to get Emily and Allie together. I don't know why. Just the way that Emily's with Allie and the way they're relating to each other, I could see them definitely getting together. I could definitely see that happening. This season overall has been really good. I've really enjoyed what they've done this season. I think the way they did this 5-year time jump was very well handled. I definitely enjoyed that. It's just the way this episode was executed was not good. It was very rushed. It didn't feel like a finale at points, and it really felt like a lot of the stuff was just for fan service. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I would say more more, but I feel like I said all I need to say. Like I said, I really did enjoy this season. I thought this was a very strong season overall. This finale in general, I just wasn't a huge fan of. Everything else this season has been great. I haven't really had many complaints, as you guys know, and I've tried to stay positive because I think this is a show that surprisingly is still going very strong. And this episodes like this really pissed me off because I don't want an episode like this. I want an episode like last week's. Last week's episode was awesome. I love last week's episode. Last week's episode, I think, is by far best episode of the season, minus the whole Nicole thing. This episode could have been really great had they cut out like 90% of it. Then I would have been fine with it and focused more on what we wanted to see. But overall, guys, this is my review. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw of this finale and the season in general. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.